If human teeth were naturally red instead of the white or off-white shade we are used to, the entire way we think about beauty, hygiene, health, and even symbolism would be completely different. Because teeth are not just a tool for chewing, but also a key part of how humans express themselves, smile, and communicate. Imagine meeting someone for the first time, and instead of a bright white smile, you are greeted by a row of shiny red teeth. It would completely change first impressions, because in our current culture, red is often associated with blood, danger, passion, or even aggression, and having red teeth might initially look frightening or intimidating, almost like a vampire's appearance in modern fiction. Over time, however, if everyone had red teeth, our standards of beauty and normality would shift, and toothpaste commercials would not be promising whiter teeth, but perhaps brighter, shinier red teeth with slogans like, "Get that perfect crimson smile." Dentists would study the shades of red the way they currently examine the shade of enamel. And just like today, we have people bleaching their teeth to get a Hollywood-style white smile. In this alternate world, people might be polishing their teeth to achieve a glowing ruby or scarlet finish. Fashion and media would also adapt, because think about how actors, models, or social media influencers smile on camera. Today, the sparkling white smile is considered charming and attractive, but in a red teeth reality, entire industries of advertising, makeup, and digital editing would revolve around enhancing or matching the shade of red teeth to lipsticks, outfits, or even lighting conditions. Psychologically, the meaning of a smile would change, because right now, when we see someone flash their white teeth, it signals friendliness and warmth. But if teeth were red, we might interpret it differently, maybe as a sign of strength, boldness, or fiery passion. There's also a biological angle to consider. White teeth reflect the hardness and mineral content of enamel, so if teeth were red, scientists would ask what pigment or mineral causes it. Maybe iron oxide, similar to rust, or a completely new protein pigment developed through evolution, and that could even affect dental diseases, cavities, and the way food stains show up. For example, coffee, tea, and wine are notorious for staining white enamel, but if teeth were red, those stains might blend in or alter the shade slightly, making oral care either easier or much more complex depending on the chemistry. Children losing their baby teeth would no longer be showing little white gaps, but instead tiny red stubs, which would make traditions like the tooth fairy feel very different. Imagine parents collecting bright red little teeth under the pillow instead of pearly whites. Even language itself would change, because today we use expressions like pearly whites or a dazzling white smile, but in a red teeth world we might say things like ruby reds or a dazzling crimson smile. History and culture would also shift, because in art, religion, and literature, the imagery of purity and innocence has long been connected with white teeth and white color in general. But if red teeth were the default, purity might be symbolized differently, and red might not be linked with danger, but instead with normal human warmth. Think about Halloween costumes or scary monsters. Today we make them frightening by painting their mouths red as if covered in blood. But if everyone had red teeth, creators of horror movies would have to invent a completely different visual cue for fear. On a practical note, dentistry would evolve differently. Fillings, crowns, and dentures would need to match red shades instead of white, and dental charts would include categories like light crimson, dark ruby, or burgundy enamel, which sounds more like a paint store than a dental office. From a social perspective, dating and attractiveness would adapt too. Some people might prefer deep blood-red teeth as a sign of maturity, while others might find lighter, pinkish-red teeth more appealing, creating entirely new standards of romance. Finally, consider the global cultural shift. Wedding photography, children's cartoons, emojis, even the smiley face icons we use in texting would all have to be redesigned with red teeth, changing the universal image of happiness and friendliness. So, the simple question of, what if human teeth were red, leads us to reimagine health, beauty, culture, science, and psychology in a completely different way. reminding us how even the smallest natural details, like the color of our teeth, play a massive role in shaping our societies and our sense of normal.